You're listening to the 212 Roundtable Podcast. You can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, and Google Podcasts, as well as Apple Podcasts. Be sure to leave a review and subscribe. You can also find the Brew Club at 212.beer. That's the number 2, the word 12.beer. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching 212 Brew Club. Now on to the show. Well, here we are, in kind of a weird episode. Oh my god, my pocket's vaping.
Oh my god, that's how people die, dude.
Let's start that over. Here we are. Welcome to another episode of the 212 Roundtable. I'm Tony Golick.
And I'm Brandon Winninger.
And this is kind of a different episode. We are going to, a couple things. Mainly, we're going to talk about Prop Day, which we just attended, which was a lot of fun. Had a blast, ran into some people. Fortunately, the cheap-ass pocket recorder I bought from Amazon, you get what you pay for, did not work very well. It was so terrible that the background noise was fine, like you heard people around us, but anytime, where I was holding it was pretty good. Like It wasn't like close to our faces. All of our voices were cracking. It was like just peaking so bad that it was cracked, and there was no way I could adjust it whatsoever.
That sucks.
Yeah, we had after every beer, we hung out with Shalonda after Beer Chick, and Clark Fetteridge and his wife Jessica was also bummed about because she was going to be on.
Yeah,
we talked to her, and we also talked to Eric.
She was a beer expert apparently.
At that time, she was. Yes, her first time drinking Bourbon County, and we also spoke to Eric Flores, who, as you guys know, has been on the show before 2 times already. And it was his recipe for prop this year. So it's kind of cool to talk to him. I went through all the recordings to see if maybe that one, out of all of them, I hoped was going to be good. But none of them turned out. So Brandon looks like he's about to cry right now. We're going to just
That was our entire episode.
It was. We had like 8 recordings. The plan was to go in between those recordings and talk about that. But we'll go over those beers. And then after the break, we have some other things to discuss. It's kind of a bittersweet type of situation here, as things are about to change with this podcast. It sounds sad, but it's actually not sad at all. But still, hold on to your pants.
Dolores.
All right, let's get right into this. First off, we're not reviewing any beers, but we are drinking Old Irving's Beezer tonight.
Yes.
I was going to bring over a prop, and glad we didn't. We're going to drink that another time.
Yeah. I mean, while it would have been awesome, I mean, I was thinking about it earlier today. I'm like, it is too close to Prop Day to want to drink another prop right now.
I want to drink another prop,
and just because, and it's also it's also the 2 of us, and
Yep.
It's a weeknight, and doing that is just. I'm not saying that it would be a terrible idea.
We've done it, but
we've done it. I just don't want it. Like, yeah, it's one of those. I feel like, I mean, I drank a lot of it at Prop Day. Like, I mean, I don't want to say a lot of it, but like I used a fair share of my tokens to go back and get that like 3 times maybe.
Yeah, and Clark was nice enough to share those tokens that Jessica wasn't going to use with us. So
Correct.
I got more prop with that as well.
But it was so good. It's very flavorful.
Yes.
So if you haven't had the chance to try it yet, very flavorful. Like, and when Tony and I did the pre-Prop Day, we did
Prepping for prop.
Yeah, we basically combined. You know, we basically tried to French press our own version of this year's prop, and I don't
that
want.
was my phone.
Yeah, I don't want to say that we were like way off the mark, but some of the things that I liked about what we did were also present in that beer. But it did have a lot of chocolate. It did have that vanilla, and it did have that coconut, and it did have that oily look that we
murky.
But yeah, so kind of coming back to what I was starting with, like it's a big beer, and it is definitely sweet after you do it for a while.
It's a lot to take on again.
Yeah, on a weeknight.
My body would not have been happy. My body was not very thrilled with me when I got home that evening. But I was happy.
Yeah.
I was very happy.
Oh, and your night was basically like the start of your night was prop day.
I had a concert that evening at 9 o'clock with my wife, which was fun. You guys ever check them out? There's a band called Camp, CAAMP. They're very cool. They're a very good band. I can spell. They can't.
Touche.
Anyway, let's get to the nitty gritty of it, man. We were Group A.
We were.
Which was awesome. And again, Brandon, thank you very much for bringing me along.
My pleasure.
It was awesome.
I can also thank my wife who bowed out.
Yes, bowed out. and to my thanks, I made biscuits and gravy for all of us.
That was awesome.
We had a family breakfast that morning. That was kind of nice. We should do that more often.
Yeah, agreed.
We should do that.
Yeah, Becca said she'd make cream tuna.
Laura would like that. I'm going to take a hard pass on that.
Do you just not like tuna?
Not a tuna guy.
Yeah.
Like, is it canned tuna?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure. I'm not in. No offense, Becca. Everything else that she's ever made is so tasty.
It was funny. That's like her mom's thing. But for some reason, they grew up on that. And I don't know if that was like her mom got that from her mom or whatever. But I remember the first time I went, no, I think her parents came up. Yeah, her mom and dad came up in 2016. It was the first year we were dating. And they came up for Thanksgiving that year at my family's house. And I remember coming down from my condo into Becca's condo. And they're like, oh, we made breakfast. You want some? I'm like, oh, sweet. What is it? They're like, cream tuna. I'm like, what the? I was like, no. And they're like, you got to try it. So I did. And it actually wasn't that bad. I mean, but I don't mind canned tuna. So it wasn't that bad. But definitely I would not tell her to make that if we were doing that again.
I mean, hey, if it's good, if you like it, Laura might like it. I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You could do a quiche.
Oh, yeah, quiche is great.
I do a crustless quiche all the time.
Ooh, well, fire that up next time we do this breakfast thing, man.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll save prop for that. I mean, like I said, because you brought me with, I feel like it's only fair that one of those two bottles you and I share, and I'll figure out what to do with the other one. Maybe Mike will get to have some.
Nah.
Anyway, Group A.
Yeah.
So we rolled up, and first off, I think we can both agree that it was a very well-organized and well-run event with getting people in quickly, getting your bottles, getting your samples, and being able to experience the day in a whole.
The one thing I did, and I realized this after the fact, I don't know if it was Sunday night or like yesterday. Today's Monday, right? Yeah, yesterday. I think I was thinking about it. I was like, they never checked like the name on the ticket.
Well, I mean, they scanned the barcode and that was it.
But how do they know? Like, I could have been like Bob, and like
you could have brought anybody.
Yeah, because they checked your IDs first, and then they banded you, and somebody came up with that idea. I think after they started letting people in, and it was taking a while, and I feel like the idea was that they were checking your ID, banding you, and scanning you like all right there.
Right. And
somebody changed that plan and to try to get the line to move a little bit quicker, not realizing that, okay, now we're no longer doing the checking of the names.
Yeah.
Because Goose made a big thing about, like on their site and everything, like, you will not be let in if your name doesn't match.
The
it's
ticket.
like, okay, great. But then it made me think of people like, Shalonda. She said she was bringing her husband. My assumption was that she bought him a ticket, and he just, he decided to go to Texas or whatever.
He's like, you know what, Texas is where
prop day, Texas. But anyway, so he went to go visit some friends, and like, she could have just given that ticket to anybody else.
Well, she did. Someone else did have that ticket.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, because she at one point, I don't know if you remember, she was with us, which, by the way, we met up with Shalonda and Clark and his wife Jessica. They were in Group B, but Shalonda was in Group A. We saw her right away once we got there waiting in line. And so
right when we pulled up to the line.
And we met up with her right away and then hung out for the rest of the day. But she ended up at one point, she had to go back. It was like right in the beginning. She had to go back to the gate, and she's like, I'll be right back, and came back. Excuse me, everybody. This is after we had the second. This is after we got our bottles.
Yeah.
She had accidentally scanned the wrong ticket, and so I had to go back over there. So I wonder how that works. Oh, because she accidentally scanned her friend's ticket instead of her ticket, and so when her friend got to scan their ticket, they said, you're already here.
Oh.
You can't use the ticket, so they had to reverse it, whatever, or scan Shalonda's ticket so that she can go in. But yeah, right off the bat, I was caught off guard because we got our taster glass, and I was under the no one said what it was, but I was under the impression that Prop was the first beer they were giving us.
Because it's Prop Day.
Yeah, and I took a sip, and I'm like, okay. And I was just kind of excited to be in there. I didn't really put much thought into it. I'm like, I'm not really tasting anything they say that's in there, but it's good. I like the way it tastes, but it was just kind of Bourbon County, which we found out.
Yeah. It was also...
It was just Bourbon County.
Yeah, so the beer was actually... I mean, all of beer, I think, for most of the day was a lot colder than I would normally like a stout, especially like Bourbon County.
That was my thought.
So, yeah, I think we were under the impression it's like, oh, yeah, maybe it needs to warm up for the flavors to develop. And I was holding on to it, and we were in the line going past... and again, that was a free pour when you came in. We were going past the Mon Chéri when we were going to get our bottles, and people were kind of like... hopping out of line. Yeah, they were downing their beer and then going over and getting that. I feel like if I would have known it was just regular Bourbon County, I would have been more likely to do that.
I 100% would have done it. But like, good, we'll get the cherry beer right now.
Yep.
So,
because then when we did go back that line, I mean, it wasn't ridiculously long, but it was a lot longer than it was before.
The longest we waited in the line was 30 minutes.
Yes.
And we'll get to that in a minute. Once you walked in, you got your taster glass and your badge and your tokens. You were also given a ticket. And this ticket told you when you went inside to purchase, you had two options. Option one was for $75. You got 2 bottles of Prop and a bottle of Café de Olla, which, by the way, that is how you pronounce it. Not Ola, not Allah, not whatever the hell we called it. Yeah.
Ole.
Sorry, we clearly don't
habla español.
Yeah, see. So that was the first option, was 2 bottles of Prop and a bottle of Café de Olla. The second option was $130. Am I correct with that? Is it $130? I think.
Yes.
You get 2 bottles of Prop, a bottle of Café de Olla, and the double barrel Bourbon County. Now, I went with option 1. Brandon and Shalonda went with option 2. And kudos to them, because as some of you may or may not know, oh, there goes the fridge. It's cooling down over there. The double barrel is not going to be available on Black Friday. In fact, a new lottery has started to purchase the double barrel, which I believe is about $55. So it's basically the new Rare. And if you guys are familiar with Bourbon County, Rare at one point actually was Rare, and it came out as a green box, green bottle. It was I forget, it was aged in 28-year-old barrels, something. I might be very wrong about that, so excuse me. I don't have the facts in front of me, but Rare was kind of a big deal when it was released, and I mean, the original release, people were going crazy for it, and you could buy it on the secondary market for, I would say, probably close to $300-400, probably even more dollars at that point. A couple years later, they released Rare again, and it was $75 for that bottle. And then the following year, they released it again, and then it was found at Jewel, and it was still like $65-70, and the joke ended up becoming the not so rare because it was so easily and readily available. So that kind of backfired on them. I had Rare recently, I think last year, and it still holds up. It's very, very good beer. And I think I said this on another episode that's a $30 beer for me.
Totally.
I don't want to pay. I'm glad I didn't pay $75. Sorry to my friends who did pay for that. However, double barrel.
I bought it at Prop Day.
Yeah. The first Prop Day I went to, yeah, that's right. Because it was being offered. I think Mike did as well.
So I think you had the option to buy 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, because it was the first time they were doing it.
Maybe a lot of people didn't buy 2. That's why they had so much left over.
Could be. So, yeah, the double barrel I passed on, and Shalonda, Brandon, and Clark, and Jessica all got it. And they continued to remind me the rest of the day how I blew it, because not only were, as far as I know, they were not serving it there. We did not see it, and we did not have tokens left if they were serving it at the end of the fest. But I don't have it, and they do. So
yeah, we heard a rumor towards, I don't want to say the end. When did we leave? It was a little after 3.
Yeah, I thought it was closer to 4, was it?
Yeah, well, whatever.
We were almost there the entire day.
Yeah. But somebody was saying that, Shalonda had overheard that they might be serving
double barrel.
Double barrel.
Yeah.
I have not seen anything online that confirmed that. Like people saying that they had it there, but
Yeah. I might do some more digging. I don't don't think I saw it either, but whatever.
yeah, people were trying to buy bottles there too.
Oh yeah, and they were really underselling it, trying to buy it from Shalonda for $100. And I say underselling is that everybody found out at that moment that it was not going to be released on Black Friday, and that this was one of the opportunities. And props to Emil, by the way, who we also ran into, who did his damnedest to try and get me a double barrel for me to swap out my purchase, and they were not allowed to.
He had one, right? He bought one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did he make Jan buy one too?
I think so. I think he's he's going to do that. That's his allotment. I don't blame the guy.
Yeah.
If Laura was with me, I'd be like, we're buying both. I don't care. Merry Christmas to me and you. So anyway, so that's how that went down. And the reason why I bring that up is that it was a very funny ongoing joke in the recordings that
we were cracking up.
Yeah, they were really very mean to me about it, and they still are. I'm getting Shalonda had tweeted about it. Jerk. Anyway.
Oh, she did a live. Didn't she
Oh yeah, that's right. There's if you follow Afro Beer Chick, there is we are with her in her live recording where I show off my terrible white guy dance moves.
Yeah. You can pull the audio off that and just insert it into here.
I'm not gonna do that. I might try and do it. If it's here we go. If not, it was just me saying here we go. So what was our first beer other than bourbon?
Cafe de Olla.
Oh yeah, Cafe de Olla. What were how do you think, well yeah, how about this? How do you think we did? Because that was the other beer other than Prop that we tried to replicate.
I think we were extremely close, like shockingly close.
I agree 100%. There was more cinnamon in that in the actual Cafe de Olla that I felt in mine.
Yes.
When I say mine, I mean my glass, because I ended up adding more cinnamon to mine.
Yeah, but I was shocked at the similarities and kind of blown away by the fact that we actually got so close.
Yeah.
First impressions too of that beer was like there was no orange. Mm-hmm. But then as you kind of went back, and as it sat in my hand longer too a little bit, like the orange became more prominent.
Yeah.
But not overpowering.
Which is what I was afraid of.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about the similarities of how it was close to like those orange chocolate candy type things.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as like, orange and chocolate forward, but
right.
Definitely prominent and nice, actually. That was probably one of my favorites of the night.
Yeah.
And I would love, like, if we, crack one of those up and get that warm.
Oh, yeah.
That would be, that's a good one.
That's going to be a fun one to drink. I'm looking forward to drinking that one. Again, that is and I'm going to kind of see if I remember them all or remember where I rank them all. But Cafe de Olla is my number 2 of the variants that we tried for Bourbon County this year. The one thing that stood out for me on that beer, Shalonda had said this. She said it just reminded her of Midnight Orange, which was the orange chocolate last year. That they had a whole bunch lying around, and they just made a variant of a variant by adding cinnamon and some coffee. And I'm like, that's kind of funny. I don't know if necessarily that is the case, but I do. As I was drinking it, it's very well layered. Like cinnamon was up front, then some orange came through, and like the brown sugary sweetness, like molasses. And by the time I was done with the pour, the aftertaste in my mouth, or there was orange in there, and then by the final sips, but aftertaste in my mouth was coffee. So I actually got to taste all the ingredients they said were in there at different times of drinking that. And we drank that relatively fast. We let it warm up a little bit because we were standing around. That's when we met up with Clark, because Clark finally came in. And yeah, I got to say, man, that one, I'm surprised how much I ended up liking that variant. And I'm going to recommend that for people going out Black Friday or after Black Friday, because some of these variants do stick around. I highly recommend grabbing this. Don't be afraid of the orange, or coffee if you don't like those flavors. They're blended so well that I don't think, as we were saying, it's layered, so nothing's going to really stand out and hit you in the face with this flavor.
Yeah. And I think that was a solid choice too to put in the bag for like the purchase.
And at first I was like, oh, kind of bummed because it's so specific with like orange and coffee. I'm like, oh, you're gonna like this. Like I said, that's my number 2 of what we tasted on Sunday.
Yes.
This old Irving Beezer is refreshing. Old Irving Beezer, a double dry hopped India Pale Ale at 6.9% alcohol volume. It's brewed with Citra, Mosaic, Citra, and Mosaic. If you're looking for a refreshing, thirst-quenching New England IPA, try Old Irving Brewing's Beezer. It's like Weezer with a B.
OldIrvingBrewing.com, Chicago, Illinois.
We just made a commercial for Old Irving.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
What was the next beer? Next beer was the most obvious choice for us, which was regular. No, it was prop. Now, Brandon, you had already kind of talked about what you thought of prop, but now talk about what you thought of prop this year.
So, yeah, compared to previous props, I probably ranked this up with, I don't know, I'd have to do like a side-by-side of like...
Let's do it right now. Go get...
but I mean, I think that would be like crucial, but I think it was probably my favorite.
Prop of all time?
Yeah.
Wow.
You
hear that, Eric? You made a believer.
Because honestly, I don't know if I ever had 17.
The Bananas Foster one?
Yeah.
Do you not have a 17?
No, I don't think so.
You better check after this episode.
Yeah.
And if not, we need to hook up with somebody who's got a 2017 prop. Bananas Foster prop that year, I mean, it blew me away how good it is. And I'd really be interested to see what it tastes like now, 2 years later.
Yeah. Well, and that's when you were talking about how that one was your favorite. I was just going through my head. I was like, I don't know if I ever even tried it. Like,
oh, man.
Because I think that was the year, too, when, like, Rabbits had their Bourbon County event. Mm-hmm. And I had gone, I don't know if that was one of the days I met you there. I think it was one where you couldn't make it.
That was the one I couldn't make it. That was you had the last pour of vanilla.
Something.
No,
yeah.
I was there for a pour of vanilla.
Yeah. There was one there where I showed up by myself and prop, I think, had just blown. Like, they had it all day, yes. And I had showed up, and I was like, oh, can I get it prop? They're like, no. I was like, no.
Yeah, anybody in the northwest side of Chicago, when Rabbits has their...
Don't tell people.
Never mind. Yeah, I agree with you. I think I have to agree with you that this is my favorite prop as well. And maybe doing a side-by-side, it would be... I really wish I held on to all my props because they're all good. You never know when you're going to get a chance to try it again.
Yeah.
But any friends out there that still have their props, let's get together and have like a prop showdown or prop tasting together.
Or our own prop day.
This prop, really, the first thing, man, it's hard. It smells like chocolate fudge. It smells like hot fudge to me.
Yes.
I got that right off the bat, and I think that comes from the cocoa nibs. And the vanilla was the first thing that I really tasted. And it's not vanilla. It's not a vanilla bomb like vanilla last year, which I did really like, the Bourbon County vanilla. Mm-hmm. But it helped. Like the first sip, I tasted vanilla and chocolate, and then the next sip I took, like the sweetness of like the coconut kind of came in, and there's like that little bit of the nuttiness from, there's a toasted pecans in there, right?
Yeah.
So all of those flavors again were very well layered, and really kind of no flavor outshined the other. It just kind of
agreed.
They were all there on its own. You can pick them out, but they blended so well together. That it was my favorite beer of the day.
Yeah, I would definitely say that was my favorite too. I mean, that's the one I went back to.
And I think I have to agree with you that it is my favorite prop. Second being the 2017, the third one being 2014, which I think is the coconut and cocoa nibs.
Was that the original prop or no?
I don't know. It says it on the bottle. We'll look at you.
Yeah.
Have your bottle down here.
Yeah.
We'll look at we'll do a rundown of the props for each year. But yeah, it's up there, man. I mean, those three are my favorite. So I think 2013 might be the first. 2013 is the first. Now I remember that. Large format.
That makes sense. Mm. Yeah, and I mean, just kind of what Tony said, just the flavor profile on it was so well balanced. But I was still shocked by the oil that we saw kind of a little bit like
good point
forming on it. So it's little to no head on that prop.
Yeah. And even they're pouring them from pitchers. They're filling up pitchers from kegs. You're going to lose some head on some of those beers, but some pours from the other beers, like you got a nice head on it, and this was nothing.
Yeah, and it almost had like a creamy texture,
Yeah.
like mouthfeel. I guess that's the word. But it was such an enjoyable thing. Like
I want to point something out real quick. I think this is maybe not the second episode in a row, but the second episode where you say mouthfeel or aroma, very like aroma or mouthfeel. Those are real beer terms.
I know, but
So great.
I know. But,
No, I know. You don't want to be pretentious, and you're not pretentious, man. Those are real things. Those are real feelings. Anyway, now that I totally distracted,
I would
Beezer.
that would be a beer that I would definitely like pour over like some really good vanilla ice cream.
Oof. Yeah, I would love to cook with that somehow.
I was just gonna say that too, like even blending that with like a maple syrup and like doing pancakes or
like put that in a pancake bag.
because I think maple syrup, but it, like pancakes and like that flavor profile would I think lend itself well to like maple syrup.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And it had to be just a hint of maple syrup, not too much where it adds sweetness because it's already very sweet.
Yeah,
but enough to get that maple flavor into it. So that was prop. So we kind of went through original Bourbon County, which we were kind of put off because we weren't really sure, and we did go back and taste it. I'm not knocking regular Bourbon County because I mean that is the jam. That is why this happens. It's another year of Bourbon County, and
but there's just so much like they do such great things with these
the variants. It's like it's weird that these overshadow just regular Bourbon County, and I'm not poo-pooing regular Bourbon County. I'd be like, yeah, it was good. If you like Bourbon County, you'll like it, but. Really, it was. I mean, everything that you like about and that we like about Bourbon County is there this year. I think the next one we did was...
I don't remember if we went back and got wheat wine.
We did wheat wine.
I think
wheat wine was next. That one, I remember the three of us, me, you, and Shalonda, saying right off the bat it smelled like bourbon and bananas.
Yep.
And it tasted like banana, like candied bananas almost to me, with bourbon.
Yes.
Like if you could candy bananas in a pan with bourbon, almost like Bananas Foster without cinnamon.
Well, what was it? Because later in the day you
really
blended.
good.
Was it that and what did you mix from? Was it regular
in
Bourbon
prop.
County?
No, we took that in prop.
Yeah.
Clark and I did that, and it smelled great.
And you're like, it smells like Bananas Foster's.
It did. Don't blend those. They don't taste great together. They're just very off-putting. Wheat wine was very boozy too. It was very strong. I remember there being banana and then bourbon and kind of like this hotness to it.
Yeah, and it didn't, compared to the other, obviously Bourbon counties, color-wise, you definitely know it's not like Bourbon County.
Not dark stuff.
And if we're going to use the word mouthfeel again. Yeah. Anyway, so it was a lot lighter in that sense. It wasn't like, it didn't feel like, like it didn't have that creaminess. It was more, kind of one note as far as that goes. But yeah, the flavor was awesome. I liked that beer. I went back and got that a second time.
Yeah. I did, and I wish I did, but I was I was on prop. I was on prop all day. Because I know I only have the 2 bottles. And once those are gone, those are gone. I'm sure I'll share some with, somebody else to crack them open.
Unless you get some on Black Friday.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping. That's really what I'm aiming for. Wheat wine is my third favorite of the day.
Okay.
So far it's prop, Cafe de Olla, and wheat wine. Those are my 3 favorite. I'm not including regular Bourbon County.
No.
Cool. Bourbon County is just like we said.
So pedestrian.
Yeah. Come on, losers.
I think I'm between that and then one we had later in the day.
Which was?
2 year?
Next up was...
I think that's when we got in the Templeton line.
We thought we were in line. Because there was a whole separate... So the way it was set up this year, like the beers were all over the place, which is kind of nice, instead of just being in one area.
There were so many people there, man. If they had it in one area, it would have been a crap show.
Well, around 3 or 4 o'clock... it kind of started thinning out, and that's how it was when Clark and I went. So I was like, oh, I'm glad it's all in here. Like, people were hanging out in that garage area where regular wheat wine and prop were at, that all the beers were there, but all the lines were pouring it. So the lines just kept moving. It wasn't, they don't really, stand around and talk to the person who's pouring or the person who's getting the pour.
I don't know. Like, I'm so tempted to, if if I get the honor of going again in like a future year, be like, why show, like, if I got Group A, like, I'd show up at 2:30.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah. There's no need there. Now, again, I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get our bottles.
yeah, that's the reason we were there.
Yeah. But I would definitely not mind going a little bit later and letting the crowd thin out.
Yeah, because there was, and I actually saw online that there was people that went through, came in, bought their bottles, and then left.
Yeah.
They didn't even stay around to try things. One guy was like, in one of the beer groups, was like, oh, I had a flight the next morning, so I had to get my bottles, come home, I had to pack and everything and get ready for my trip. And I was like,
man.
Okay. And he kept his tokens because he took pictures of his tokens with his beer, and I was like,
oh, man.
you could have given those to somebody like me.
He paid for them, but
Well, yeah.
man, why didn't you at least just go and grab a taster of something?
Yeah.
It
We
just
got
seems
a
weird.
free Bourbon County on the way in.
And cheers to
And
you.
maybe he grabbed
guy.
a Moncherry as he was turning the
Yeah,
corner.
we'll talk about that soon. So we thought we were in line for the 2-year and the reserve, which is set up in a cool CTA car, but it turns out...
They stole.
Yes, and now the trains can't run in Chicago. It turns out it was the secret line that I was looking for in the beginning, and a guy just popped out of the side door and started pouring beer for us, and it turned out to be the Templeton Rye from 2013.
Correct.
And that was frickin' delicious.
Yeah, I mean, that's not... It's not what I remember it to be. It's definitely died down a little bit.
6 years later, I think that'll happen.
But it still had a little bit of kick to it.
Mm-hmm. It was,
And it didn't cost me a token.
Yeah, I think maybe the idea that I didn't know that's what we were going to get, because even as we were going up there, we're like, wait, why is this guy just pouring something? We're here to get the 2-year or the rye.
Yeah, because they had a whole setup of like 3 or 4 bartenders pouring the rye or the 2-year, and they were. I noticed that we were in a line that did not meet up with where that bar went.
Yeah, it was really weird.
And yeah, then the guy kept popping out the window and it was just had a pitcher in his hand and was just pouring stuff. And people had asked when we were in line and like asked Tony, and he was like, "Hey, what line is this?" And Tony's like, "Same line you're in, man. Going for the 2-year." They're like, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
And we had asked too when we got in that line, and somebody said, "Oh, you're in the line for the special stuff." We're like, "No, dude, this is the 2-year line."
Yeah, and someone else told me behind me, it was like, yeah, this is the 2-year line. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So nobody knew what line we were in. But we ended up with a special treat of Templeton Rye. But we didn't want to go and wait for the 2-year and rye right away. So we made our way over to the Moncherry line, which...
That was the sadness of the day.
It was, because it was probably the most disappointing Bourbon County variant I've ever had.
And why was it the most... why was it the most disappointing? Was it because of the flavor?
It was like Shalonda said. It was like Robitussin flavored Bourbon County.
Yeah, I mean the cherry. We talked about like the maraschino cherry, like that syrup.
Yeah,
like
I almost feel like if I had more of that, it would have been better. Like there were just the way that the way that the Bourbon County and these cherries that they used in it kind of played off each other. It just kind of tasted like a fake, gross cherry flavor. I did not dig it. None of us did, actually.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I commented, like, it would have been so much better if it had kind of like a cherry cordial type flavor, but it was that off-putting.
Yeah, if it was like a
cherry,
more of like a pie type deal to that might have been something else to elevate it and change it, but just straight up cherry into the Bourbon County, I did not dig.
Yeah, and just because so many people liked it, I would be curious to try it again, like if it was warmer, just to see if that does anything to it. If anybody has one laying around or wants to buy me one,
Get one on Black Friday.
I don't know if
maybe I'll get one. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can kidnap you on Black Friday, Brandon.
Let's see what the price point is on that though. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Because again, it's not like one I would go running after. If it was on tap somewhere, I'd probably be inclined to.
That's probably when you and I'll try it again.
Yeah.
It's going to be on tap
Yeah.
at some of our secret locations where we go and try them. around this time of year. Hey, we've only have 2 more beers to discuss, and we've got some other things to talk about, but I think we should take a break right now. And for this break, we have music provided by someone you and I went to high school with, Brandon.
Oh, God, who?
Tim Claddy's band.
Oh,
Tim
nice.
Claddy was in my class. You know what? And pause. I had to do this last time. I don't want to mess it. Yeah, I was right. Resume. And Tim's band is RealBadRealFast. And I'm not saying that that's the type of band that they are. But maybe that's why they call themselves that. But the name of their band is Real Bad Real Fast. If you like some heavy guitars and some screaming vocals and fucking awesome punk rock metal attitude.
It gets real bad real fast.
I really suck at selling all these bands. Like I should never ever try and talk it up. But Tim, thanks a lot, man, for sending me this. This song is called Ronin Pharaoh, and you can find them on Bandcamp. It literally is just realbadrealfast.bandcamp.com. And I think they got a Facebook page too. I'll be sure to throw that in there. But here is their number 1 hit, Ronin Pharaoh.
And we're back.
We are. It was a quick one. Thanks to Real Bad.
They never know. Oh, the break was
No,
the song.
the song is actually. So yes, by the way, when we actually take breaks, we do take breaks. We don't just hit pause and then start recording again. We take a break because we can only talk to each other for so long.
Yeah. This is now 3 weeks later.
That was thanks to Tim and his band Real Bad Real Fast. You can find them on Bandcamp and I believe on Facebook. I'm not sure if Spotify, but realbadrealfast.bandcamp.com. Thank you again, guys, for letting us use your song. That was dope. That was dope, bro.
Dope, sis.
Anyways, back to Prop Day.
Prop Day.
The last 2 beers on the list. Oh yeah. So by the way, Mont Sherry. I don't know if I didn't rate it before the break, but that is on the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys gathered that from my disdain for it. But the very last 2 ones that were available were the 2-year and rye, and we got back in line for that. Mm-hmm. And Brandon and I decided to not have to go through that line again. He got 2-year, I got rye, and we swapped, and we had sips together.
Yes.
We shared spit via cup.
Best way to do it, man. So my thoughts was I kind of liked the 2-year more than I did the rye.
I like the 2-year more than the rye as well.
I didn't dislike it, but again, like it just I don't know. There's something about it, and I think you mentioned kind of like the spiciness or whatever.
Yeah, the rye definitely had the rye spice to it, which isn't bad. It's just not. I'd rather drink like a rye whiskey than have a rye barrel aged beer. To be honest. But it wasn't bad. It's not bad by any means. 2-year was a little more complex with a lot of vanilla. Like not vanilla like a vanilla bomb or like the vanilla in Prop or the vanilla in Vanilla Bourbon County from last year, but like the actual like bourbony vanilla, like vanilla you get from bourbon.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That stood out, which I kind of like because that is something I really do like about bourbon. Bourbon being sweeter than whiskey and Scotch.
Yeah, see, and like that reserve would be another one that warm. I think I would probably enjoy a lot more.
The 2-year reserve, yeah.
Yeah, especially with those bourbon notes in it.
And you and I were kind of not powering through those, but we were just kind of we were getting ready. We were getting ready to go talk to Eric as well once we had those.
Yeah, and I also feel like we both tried them. We both knew that they weren't like favorites, so we were just like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Just kind of get through this.
I would say it would be 2-year, then rye. And
Yes.
it's not because I think one's better than the other. It's just preference at
Yeah.
this point. So to run it down,
than the other.
to run it down, my list would be Prop, Cafe de Olla, the wheat wine, the 2-year, the rye, and then Moncherry. That is where I stand. And if I needed to put regular Bourbon County in there, it would probably be... No, I'm not going to put it in there. It's stupid to put it in there. Why would I put it in there? I said I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, because but that's a tough thing though. Like if you actually thought about it, like where would you put it? And to me, I'd probably put it over the rye. Actually,
I'd put it over the rye, and I think I'd put it over 2-year.
Possibly.
I think it'd be right after the wheat wine, or.
But again,
I don't know.
I go back to the whole proper serving temperature thing. And
Yeah.
Like if it's to a temperature that I enjoy,
Yeah.
that might change my.
To be honest, we do have a Christmas episode coming up, and I have a feeling some sort of Bourbon County will make its way onto the show.
As it does.
It's not necessarily a Christmas beer, but, it's always Christmas when you got Bourbon County.
No, but it's released,
Between
Black Friday.
Right after Thanksgiving.
It's the ultimate Christmas gift.
It is. And I think my wife said that because I bought that beer, that's all I'm getting for Christmas. I'll take it, Laura. Checkmate. Anyways, overall, I would say that there's a little bug flying around, and it's 40 degrees outside. What's going on, little bug?
What are you doing here, man?
Get out of here. Overall, it was an awesome prop day.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun. It was awesome hanging out with Shalonda, Afro Beer Chick, all day long. She put up with us. She tolerated us. If you go on her Twitter, at Afro Beer Chick, you'll see some pictures of us and some videos. I think there's multiple dancing videos too.
Yeah, the boomerangs.
Yeah, if you go to our Instagram, we have some pictures and some boomerangs on there as well. But yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. Yeah. I had a great time.
I did forget to mention the cigars that I picked up too.
Oh, right.
I haven't tried those, but so I think it's Up Down Cigar was at Prop Day, and what they do is they take some of the barrels from Bourbon County, and once the barrels are empty, they take the cigars.
So it's empty, like they
drain the beer out,
right? Gotcha.
And then
post Bourbon County.
Yeah, post Bourbon County, beer's drained out, and they just jam it full of cigars, like the full, put together, already hand rolled cigars, or assuming hand rolled. Anyways, they put them in there, and I don't know how long they let them sit in there for, but the idea is that residual moisture that lives in the barrel is then absorbed by that super dry tobacco to give you the flavor of the cigar. So
I want to try one of those if you have one to share one day with me. I know your father-in-law is getting the brunt of those.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he wants when he comes in. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. Then there was a bunch of other stuff there that had Bourbon County kind of blended with it.
Didn't end up doing the gelato, which I wish I did.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I remember we talked about the marshmallow that we had the first prop day we went to, which was really good. I didn't see any of that. We did. We had some bourbon. We had 2 types of bourbon.
Oh yeah, the Heaven Hill.
The Heaven Hill bourbon.
Larceny,
and then the what is it? The regular.
The Larceny is the barrel proof.
And then Jesus.
Which was 127.
130
or whatever. It was ridiculous.
Brad and I both were not gagging in a bad way, but we were really caught off guard by that really small pour.
It was smoky.
Yeah, it was very good, which was super cool. It was funny when we first got there. There was a long line to try the bourbon. I'm like, I'm not really here for a bourbon. I'm here for Bourbon County, not just not to try bourbon. So by the time we got up there, the line was super long, and super short, and it was towards the end of the day.
Yeah,
good
thing I noticed that.
Prop day was great. We had prop day success all around.
Yeah, next time I go there, I'll eat something too.
Which they did have. I believe is it Paulina Meat Market.
Possibly, like Lily Q's was there.
Well, the reason why there was a Bourbon County brat, and the reason why I know that is that tomorrow night for dinner with my good friends Dan and Becky, they're coming over because she bought a 4-pack of those at wherever. I'll find out so I can tell you where to go. It's $10 for 4 brats, but they were selling them for $7 a piece. And I'm like, I'm not gonna buy it if I'm gonna have this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I'll give you, Brandon. I'll give you a personal podcast review. I'll record it for you and send it to you.
Deal.
There's only 4 in a pack, otherwise I'd say come on by. But yeah, there was a bunch of that stuff mixed in, and overall that was it was a great prop day, man. I say what you want about Goose Island. Clearly, we're fans of Goose Island because we talk about it all the time, and this is the fourth show just based on Bourbon County, so we're clearly fans of this beer.
Well, I mean, we've got friends that have worked there, so and then again, like Eric was the mastermind behind this year's prop.
And he was so humble about everybody coming up there and us coming up there just saying how much we loved it. And he was so honored. And I think he said the word is that it touches his heart every time he hears, like, that's got to feel great, you know.
Man, people don't telling you that like, this is the best prop that they've ever had.
Yeah,
like,
which I think, I'm almost positive I heard that.
No,
numerous times.
I did hear that. And I saw, like, online, that's what everyone was like, hands down, this is the best prop. And I'm in some of the same beer groups that Eric's in, and just the people that were tagging him were like, dude, this is amazing. Yeah. I was like, hands down, my favorite.
I'm looking forward to drinking it again. I'm looking forward for like a specific moment to have some more prop.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to trying it again. Hopefully, like aged a little bit.
Yeah,
not like in like 6 to 8 months. Like curious just how it'll develop in the bottle. Like I don't want it. I think the bottle says 5 years this year, and I was like, I just don't know if I want to do 5 years.
No,
I don't know if I can wait 5 years.
Well, we were just looking at some. You've got a handful of props in there that are at the 5-year point now. So we should probably crack those open soon.
Let's do it right now.
Yeah, after the final pour. But anyways, I do want to talk about something else, which is it's kind of a bittersweet moment. And that bittersweet moment is this announcement. This is the final 212 Roundtable podcast.
Good night.
And the reason why that is that we're changing the name.
Yes.
We are still doing the podcast, but when we first set out to do this show, we were centric. I think if you listen, I think I listened to the first episode recently with Stephanie. You and I were sitting across from each other in my basement doing the intro to this, discussing where we thought this podcast was going to go.
Correct.
We were going to be kind of focused, but we were going to focus more on the homebrew aspect of beer. And as we've gone along, we've realized that homebrew's been a part of it, but it's not really the focus. It's kind of become something more. It's more about craft beer or beer in general and the history of beer and different styles and our love of it and the people that we know that are involved.
Yeah, and part of that too was, I think, originally our thought was that, as members of the 212 Brew Club, we were going to be brewing more with the club and kind of, reviewing that stuff a little bit more. And, just as this year had gone by, a lot of people had stuff going on, like, Mike's got a kid.
You have a kid.
I had a kid in May.
Ron's got kids.
Ron's got kids. So
I shipped my kid off to college.
Yeah. So we were all just kind of like in different positions, like where this, and again, like when it came to brewing, it was kind of Tony and I usually that were kind of coordinating that kind of stuff and like setting, getting things together and like setting the schedule.
And you and I have brewed specifically together this year.
A couple of times. But specifically, or not, you just said that word.
Sorry.
I was like, I'm just carrying it.
Good specific.
But mostly I think because, like I was out this summer just, dealing with, raising my son. We just kind of, the brewing became kind of secondary. Mm-hmm. And the podcast, when we could get together and meet up and like record some episodes, it was, while we would, touch on some stuff brewing related, there wasn't enough to carry an entire episode.
Especially with homebrewing. And there are a ton, and there's a ton of great homebrewing podcasts out there. There's a ton of great craft beer podcasts out there. What I think we ended up doing was bringing a little more I want to say personality to it, but personality in the sense of, I think if you look at the guests that we've had on the show just this year, we've had people in the industry, not in the industry, my neighbor Jeff, friends, people who are all different walks of life when it comes to craft beer, or not even anything to do with beer. They've been on the show, and it's been about our experiences with beer, and so that's kind of what it's morphed into. And to carry on with the 212 Brew Club name kind of does the Brew Club injustice, and it also is misleading for what this show is. And with that, we're also happy to announce that my sister and my brother-in-law, who have a production company down in Atlanta, will be coming up. And they, as we said, we're going to start doing video. We have a 4K video camera. We have a 4K video camera coming up here. We do. We have a 4K camera coming up. They're going to get a set up here in Brandon's basement, and we are going to start filming our podcast, which means there will be a video portion of the show, but we will still continue to have the actual audio podcast. I'm not sure how that's still going to play out. Not sure if the video is going to be as long as the audio or
vice versa.
Yeah, who knows? But that's all happening.
Yeah, so I still think, and we kind of talked about this, so the audio portion of the podcast that we do will probably largely remain the same how we do it now. And then the video will be done, we'll figure that out as we go along.
Yeah, just like how we've done this podcast for the last year.
Pretty much. So once we get that aspect in there, the first few runs are going to be interesting, to say the least.
Well, considering our first episode that we're going to do with the camera is no longer happening, unfortunately. The guest that we had slated to do the beer and food pairing had an unacceptable and unexpected trip to the West Coast. So we'll have to get back in touch with him to do that episode. So things like that pop up. Now, as far as the name goes, well, we don't really have a name just yet. So hopefully,
got a couple things we're kicking around.
Yeah, I was hoping to have the name tonight to tell you guys so we could, get the word out. But I'm hoping to keep the same SoundCloud page, and that if we change everything, we can just kind of update everything. Because I don't want to lose all these great episodes that we've had, and I'm going to leave it all as the 212 Roundtable.
Yeah, we're not going back and rebranding all the old ones.
No, I'm not doing that. You guys will just have
figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. But yeah, so that was it. So this is technically the last 212 Roundtable.
And we haven't been releasing episodes for a year, but we started this whole process about a year ago.
Yeah, so we've done. So to come
full circle.
Yeah, just recently. When was it when we did the pre-prop?
Yep.
Wasn't it? We got a notification.
I think it was that day.
Yeah, that we had recorded the episode 0, which I've renumbered the episodes if you guys didn't notice in the podcast. It's because episode 0 doesn't really count as episode 13. So it's no longer episode 13, which means that the final episode...
It's like the 13th floor doesn't count.
What? The very last episode for this year will be our Christmas episode, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure how we're gonna pull this off yet, and where exactly we're gonna do it. But I have big plans to try and get some of the guests that were on episodes past to come on by and drink a Christmas beer with us, and kind of celebrate 1 full year, basically, of doing the podcast and everybody that was kind of a part of it.
Yeah,
and maybe some new people too. I don't know. All I know is Jeff has to be on it because I said episode 20 would be Jeff. We also have another episode still not released, which I think we'll do at the end of the year as well, which is when we did the Dunkelweiss episode, which Mike was on. And luckily we had audio problems, and that episode has still yet to be released. And it's a bonus episode with Jeff, where Jeff tells a very loud joke at the end of the show.
Loud and long.
Yeah, it was our first time also recording during a brew day. So you get to hear the propane tank going, cars drive by in the garage. It's going to be great. But I'm going to do some bourbon before I leave here tonight. But hey, man.
Warms the soul.
I think that's about it. Do you have anything else? Sorry, I feel like I rambled on about
that's all right.
All this at the end.
There's a lot to talk about.
Just Tony taking over the mic as usual. Sorry, Brandon.
No, I got nothing. I'm excited about moving into the next chapter.
Yeah.
Just kind of see what we can do with the video.
You've got some cool ideas. I've got some okay ideas, but
yeah, and again, so the idea, like, so what we had talked about too is we're not necessarily going to be tied. The plan is to not be tied to, the basement. We're not going to be sitting around.
Which you'll
this
see
bar.
in the next episode. Yeah.
So we're not going to be sitting around this bar just kind of talking. The plan is that we kind of want to get out there. Probably aim towards like the spring. Like once we kind of get the hang of what we need to do for the video, the turnaround time for the video kind of stuff.
How to use the camera.
Yeah. So that's all going to play into this, but definitely that's on our timeline of kind of exploring everything that we can do. So,
yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be good.
It will be excellent.
All right. Well, I think that's another episode, man.
Yes, it is.
Brandon, I love you.
Love you too, man. Thanks for doing this for the past year.
Yeah, man. You too. Thanks. This has been great. And thanks again for the prop day invite. That was a lot of fun.
Of course, man.
I'm looking forward to drinking some more of those with you soon.
Yeah, soon enough, I'm sure.
No, I mean tonight. Like once we're done.
What?
We're gonna drink all the prop.
Go home, Tony. You're drunk.
Music for this episode was provided by Fluid Minds. You can find Fluid Minds music at fluidmindsmusic.com. You can also find their music at fluidminds.bandcamp.com. You can find them streaming on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere music is streaming. Big thanks to RealBadRealFast for their song Ronan Farrow. You can find them at RealBadRealFast at Bandcamp. You can also find them on Facebook, and you can find them on Spotify. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. It's been an awesome year. We're looking forward to the next chapter, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Actually, you'll see us. Literally. Cheers.